Have you ever stopped to think about where our ideas of freedom or rights or even democracy actually come from? I mean, they weren't just always there. It actually took a revolution, not one with guns and armies, but a revolution of ideas, started by a handful of thinkers who dared to question absolutely everything. So let's dive into that time when a few radical thoughts completely changed the world. So, at the very heart of this whole revolution was this massive clash. You see, for centuries, the world ran on one simple idea. A king or queen was in charge because God put them there. That was it. Divine right was absolute. But then, this new idea starts bubbling up. Something really radical. What if power doesn't come from God, from up above? What if it comes from us, the people? That one question right there was the spark that lit the fuse for a whole new age. And this incredible explosion of new thinking got a name, the Enlightenment. It was really kicked off by the scientific revolution. People were seeing these amazing breakthroughs in science, and they started to think, hey, if we can use reason to figure out the laws of the universe, why can't we use it to solve our own problems right here on Earth? And that idea gave people this amazing new confidence in what the human mind could actually do. Now, this revolution in thinking really gets going with a huge debate, kind of a philosophical heavyweight match. It starts with two English thinkers who both lived through some really chaotic times, but came to two totally different conclusions about what people are really like. First up in this corner, you've got Thomas Hobbes. Now, Hobbes had seen the English Civil War up close, and it made him pretty pessimistic about people. He argued that at our core, we're all just naturally selfish and wicked, and without a super strong government to keep everyone in check, life would just be total chaos. Or, in his famous words, it would be solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Yikes. So what was Hobbes's fix for this? He called it the social contract. But his version was a pretty tough deal. Basically, you and everyone else would hand over all your rights to one all-powerful ruler, like a king. And in exchange for giving up all that freedom, you'd get law and order. For Hobbes, safety was everything, even if it meant giving up your liberty. But then along comes John Locke with a totally different view. Locke was way more optimistic. He believed that actually people aren't just wicked. We can learn, we can reason, and we can even govern ourselves. And this is the big one. He argued that we are all born with three natural rights that no one, not even a king, can take away: life, liberty, and property. For Locke, the whole point of a government wasn't to control us, but to protect those rights. So let's put it side by side, because the difference is huge. You've got Hobbes saying people are wicked, so we need a ruler with total power to stop us from destroying each other. And then you've got Locke saying, no, people are reasonable, and a government's only job is to protect our natural rights, and it can only rule if we, the people, agree to it. This one debate right here laid the groundwork for basically all of modern democracy. That fire that started in England, well, it jumped the channel and landed right in Paris, which quickly became the new hotspot for the Enlightenment. And there, a new crew of thinkers, they called themselves the philosophers, that's just French for philosophers, they picked up the torch and got ready to challenge, well, pretty much everything. And nobody, and I mean nobody, was more of a rebel than the guy known as Voltaire. This man was a literary force of nature. He published over 70 books, and his weapons of choice were a razor-sharp wit and biting satire. And he aimed them right at the most powerful people around: the church, the government, the rich, anyone he saw as intolerant or just plain unreasonable. This quote, it's his most famous, and it just perfectly sums up everything he stood for. This fierce, absolute belief in freedom of speech. For Voltaire, the ability to think for yourself and say what you believe wasn't just a right. It was the most powerful tool we have against tyranny. Okay, so Voltaire was the rebel trying to tear down the old system. Our next guy, Montesquieu, he was the architect. He wasn't just about complaining. He wanted to design a whole new, better way of governing. He spent years studying all kinds of governments, trying to figure out the secret recipe for political liberty. And his brilliant idea? Separation of powers. He figured to keep any one person or group from getting way too powerful, you should split the government into different branches. You'd have one part that makes the laws, another that carries them out, and a third that interprets them. That way, as he put it, power should be a check to power. Genius, right? Our third major French thinker is Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the passionate populist. Now, Rousseau was a little different. While a lot of the other thinkers were celebrating reason and progress, Rousseau looked at society and thought, you know what? I think civilization actually corrupted us.
He believed people were naturally good, but society had messed us all up.
This is the incredible opening line from his book, The Social Contract. What he meant was that we're all born with this natural freedom, but that society, with all its rules, its property, its social classes, has trapped us in chains. His solution was a radical one, a direct democracy where the government would be guided only by the general will of the people, where everyone was truly equal.
Okay, so you've got these incredible core ideas about freedom and rights, and they were just too powerful to stay in one place. Pretty soon, other thinkers started taking this new logic of reason and applying it to all sorts of other parts of society, from how we treat criminals to the rights of women.
So, for instance, you have this Italian thinker, Beccaria, who said, hey, the point of laws is to keep society orderly, not just to get revenge. He pushed for things like speedy trials and a total ban on torture. And, at the same time, over in England, Mary Wollstonecraft was using the Enlightenment's own logic against them, basically saying, okay, if all men are born free, then why are all women born slaves? She made this powerful case for women's equality and education.
And this is really where it all comes together. This is the payoff. You can literally draw a straight line from these ideas to the world we live in. Locke's ideas on natural rights, they're right there, almost word for word, in the U.S. Declaration of Independence. Montesquieu's separation of powers, that's the blueprint for the U.S. Constitution. Voltaire and Beccaria's ideas on free speech and no torture, yep, in the Bill of Rights. This wasn't just talk. It was the instruction manual for building a new kind of world.
And that's the thing, these ideas didn't just stay in books. They crossed the Atlantic Ocean. They inspired American revolutionaries to do something unthinkable, to break away from their king and to try and build a brand new country, founded on these very principles of liberty and the idea that a government can only rule if its people say it can.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? What's the lasting impact of this intellectual earthquake? Well, the Enlightenment really left us with a legacy that still shapes our world today. And you can really see it in three major ways. First, it gave us this incredible belief in progress. This core idea that we humans can use our brains to solve problems and make the world a better place. Second, it led to a more secular outlook. People started to question the absolute authority of the church, which opened the door for more religious tolerance. And third, and this one is huge, it sparked the rise of the individual. People started looking to themselves for answers, trusting their own reason, instead of just accepting what a king or a priest told them. Which brings it all back to us, right here, right now. All of these ideas live on in our own lives. Freedom of speech, the right to a fair trial, the very idea that you have a say in your government. These are things we can easily take for granted, but people fought for them. So the question to leave you with is, out of all those hard-won rights, which one do you value the most in your life today?